Alright, today we're going to talk about the Dvorak's New World Symphony and the clarinet excerpts that are in that, particularly focusing on the fourth movement, the third and fourth movements. So, like many orchestral pieces, the New World Symphony by Antonin Dvorak has a considerable clarinet part. So in the first clarinet part, there are several important solos, and the first sort of solo, per se, comes in the third movement. Well, not the first solo, but one of the solos comes in the third movement. And this particular solo is echoing the oboe and flute, I believe. So first we're going to listen to a recording so we hear it in context. Now this is the third movement, and so it starts off with a tutti orchestra. And you'll hear the clarinet come in the background. So there's a little bit of that solo. And the most important part for this particular solo, or it's actually not march solo, but it is very important. And the timing is rather an issue at certain points. So you need to come in right on time with the beat, and if you it starts with a quarter rest, so if you hold that quarter rest a little too long, then you'll come in late and throw off the rhythm in the interplay between the oboe and clarinet. So let me get the excerpt out and I can demonstrate for you. Alright, so this is the scherzo from the third movement, which is the third movement of the Dvorak's New World Symphony, and this is the clarinet part. So the measure before the clarinet comes in, the flute and oboe have this rhythm da-da-da on a concert C, or no, concert B, I believe. It's a D on A clarinet. So once you hear that cue, you have to count right away, and it comes in piano, but you want to be heard. So it goes a little bit like this. And you'll count it in one, so it's like da da da, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So there you go. That's how you play the scherzo, the beginning part of the scherzo in the New World Symphony for the first clarinet part. So then, after you play the introduction and the repeat, it kind of changes moods a bit, and the tempo becomes poco sostenido, so like a little sustained. So the tempo relaxes a lot, and we're going to listen to that in the orchestra right now. There's the clarinet part right there. And as you can hear, the first and second clarinets are playing in octaves, so tuning is especially important for this part. So it starts on the first beat at a mezzo piano, first beat of the measure, and if you're playing the first clarinet part, you need to make sure not to play too sharp, because the higher notes tend to sound sharp compared to the the octave lower in the second clarinet. So if you and your if the clarinet section can work on that a bit, that helps immensely in the performance. So here's the poco sostenuto of the scherzo. And it changes key too, so be sure to mark the key change. And especially since that's on A clarinet, it becomes difficult for the sustained notes because they have a tendency to want to crack almost, especially if your vent tube is not properly shortened. So that's a bit of the scherzo, the third movement. And now we will go on to the fourth. So the fourth movement sounds almost like Jaws in the beginning, so a lot of people recognize it. But in the middle, there's a very important clarinet solo. So we're going to listen to a little bit of the fourth movement. So, and again, this is a recording by, I believe, the Czech radio Symphony. Starts with the horns and trombones in the theme. Very epic. Alright, so you heard a little bit at the beginning. Alright, and this is farther along. We're almost to the clarinet solo. And the clarinet solo sort of sets a different tone. So let's listen to this bit right now. Again, this is an A as well, so it's a little difficult. It has a different timbre than B flat, so those of you who are not used to playing A, make sure you practice on A as well. And phrasing is immensely important. Alright, and then the orchestra takes over. So, as you could probably tell, it's a very lyrical solo. Tone is extremely important in that solo. It's not so much technical, although there are several difficult intervals to hit, especially when you're going from an A flat to E flat. Be careful to watch that interval. See, you want to play the A flat to the E flat smooth. See how they're very connected? You don't want any break in the line. So, let me demonstrate that solo for you. And it starts at a piano, and there are lots of hairpins in that, so be sure to concentrate on phrasing. And that's where the orchestra comes in. So just again be aware of the phrasing, and in the middle of the piece and in the middle of the solo, when you have the part that goes in and the part that starts with an A flat, even though it's marked piano, you might want to play that a little bit louder than piano because it's repeated. So the first time wants to be like the statement, and then the second the echo. like so. Just be careful not to cut off your air supply too much. You want to keep blowing fast air through the instrument. Maybe a little less air, but it needs to be very focused. So that's a bit of Dvorak's New World Symphony for clarinet.